But when it comes to exercise science as a professional field, there are a lot of different pathways that we see students from the university, whether they're obtaining an undergraduate degree here or a graduate degree here, that they end up pursuing once they're done at UGA. So some common pathways are personal training, exercise physiologists, strength and conditioning coaching, an athletic trainer. We have a lot of students from the exercise and sports science program at the undergraduate level that afterwards end up attending professional schools such as physical therapy school, occupational therapy school, physician assistant school, medical school, lots of different professional schools. And there are also people who end up going into academia and teaching at the collegiate level. So there are a lot of different areas within exercise science that folks can end up going into. Again, you are not limited to these professional pathways. These are just some of the most common. And since we had a lot of people who put their hand up when we talked about kind of different pathways that they may be interested in pursuing, I'm kind of curious for those of y'all who are in here, if there's anything that you don't see on this list that maybe you're interested in doing after graduation. Feel free to unmute yourself. You can throw it in the chat, whatever you're more comfortable with. Cool. So pretty much the things that are outlined here are things that y'all are interested in doing. Okay, perfect. These careers that are listed, we are going to go into more depth about a lot of these later on, but that's good to know. If there is something on here that you don't see that you're interested in talking more about, definitely let me know. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to actually kind of do a little bit of digging into what it is that folks from the university who get a degree in what you're getting a degree in have been able to do with that degree. So every year we end up sending out a career outcomes survey. And what this survey is it's a way for us to collect information about what students from each undergraduate and graduate program at UGA are able to do with the degree that they obtain after completing their program. So for those of y'all who have maybe heard of the Career Center, is anyone familiar with our What Can I Do with a Major in resource? Has anyone heard of this before? Okay, cool. This will be very exciting then. So for those of y'all who are exploring and maybe are interested in learning about all of the different things that you can do with your degree, I'm going to actually share a link with you in the chat. So for those of y'all who are in person, you can kind of follow along with me, or you can access it online. If you go to our website, it's career.uga.edu. And if you go to that website, there's going to be a section right on the homepage, and I'll show you how you can access this. Where once you log into our website, which again is career.uga.edu, you're going to see if you scroll down, there's this red bar that goes through the middle of the screen. And over on the right, there's a section that says, what can I do with my major? If you click that, this is going to give you the ability to learn more about ways that you can use all of the different undergraduate degrees at the University of Georgia. And this is going to be a really important resource for y'all as you're continuing to think about what you want to do professionally and what you need to be doing to get there. So once you're at the What Can I Do with a Major in page, which for folks who are on Zoom, if you look in the chat, I did throw the link to this page in the chat. But once you're on the What Can I Do with a Major in page, you're going to see that if you scroll down, you have the ability to look at all of the different undergraduate majors at UGA, either based on colleges and schools at the university or alphabetically. So you can pick whichever one feels easier for you. If we go to majors by college and school, you can scroll down and find the Mary Frances Early College of Education. And once you hit that, it's going to give you all of the undergraduate degrees at the College of Ed. And it'll be the same for every college and school at the university. If you click the name of the college or school, it'll give you all of those undergraduate degrees. And so if you look under your college and school, you should see that specific title of your degree that you're pursuing. If you're at the undergraduate level, if you're a grad student, I'll show you in a second how you can access some similar information. But for those of y'all who are exercise and sports science students at the University of Georgia, I'm going to actually pull this up, the exercise and sports science page. That way you can see it. But if you click on the specific, what can I do with a major in page for your undergraduate degree, it's going to take you to a resource where you'll be able to see a lot of information about that particular undergraduate program at UGA. And every page is going to be set up the same, but the information that's on it is going to look a little bit different. So once you hop on your specific, what can I do with a major in page, you're going to see that there's some information about the program itself at UGA, kind of a very brief overview of the types of things that you'll be learning about in the program, some common professional pathways, and maybe some potential components of the program that might be of interest to you, which for those of y'all who are, already declared in a particular program and have done a decent amount of your program already, this is information that you might be really familiar with. But if you're at a point where you might be exploring careers or interested in switching or exploring majors or maybe interested in switching majors, this can be good information for you to get some insight into what your program might consist of if you were to declare a specific major. But if you kind of continue scrolling through, you're going to see that the next section is giving you career outcomes information from the most recent graduating class. So this is class of 2022, but it will be updated to 2023 really soon. And this is where you have access to information about what students from the most recent graduating class that got this undergraduate degree are doing with their degree. So you can actually see students who graduated in 2022, so May, August, and December, that got a degree in exercise and sports science. 14% are employed full-time, 3% are employed part-time, 3% are taking part in internships, and 71% are attending grad school. And you'll see that there's this red bar up at the top that says click here to view employer and position titles and grad schools / programs reported for this major. So if you hit that button, it's actually going to take you to a T-chart where you can see for those students who graduated in 2022 with a degree in exercise and sports science, you can see where it is that they're working and what their position title is, if they're employed full-time, part-time, or working in an internship. So this is showing you students who graduated with this degree, here are the things that they're doing professionally, which is pretty cool information to see if you are exploring. It shows you what opportunities you might have access to professionally with the degree that you're obtaining. Again, these are not things that you're limited to doing, but can just give you good insight into different career options that might be a good fit for you based on what some of the people that maybe you had classes with not too long ago are doing with their degree. So very cool information there about professional opportunities, but you'll probably noticed when we looked at this graph that there was a large number of students who are attending grad school. So if you click that button that takes us to like employer title and position title, if you scroll through, you're actually going to see that there's information about the graduate and professional schools that students who graduated in the class of 2022 with a degree in exercise and sports science are taking part in. So you can see the title of the grad school and then the particular programs that they're enrolled in. So this is another great way to get some insight into what might be next for you after UGA if you're interested in, going into healthcare or working in a role where professional school is something that you need to do to get there. So this can be great information. So hopefully y'all find this to be a pretty insightful resource. Something else that's really great about the what can I do with a major in page is if you're up at the top and you scroll through this career outcomes information, every single what can I do with a major in page is going to have a section about campus resources. So different student organizations and resources that you have access to on campus that might be good for you to consider taking advantage of or getting connected with to help you get some good experience and insight into the field that you're looking to go into. There also are going to be some different pieces of information regarding common professional school pathways, ways to get experience in the field, and how you can access your career consultant. You kind of keep moving through the page. There's also information about career exploration tools. So if you're interested in learning about different occupations within the field that maybe you don't see represented on this What Can I Do with a Major in page, there's some resources that you can utilize to learn more about the industry. And then one of the best sections within this What Can I Do with a Major in page is there's an employment website section where for every single What Can I Do with a Major in page, you'll be able to access general job and internship search engines. So you'll see under general, there are a bunch of job and internship search engines that you can use kind of regardless of what you want to do. But then we also have major and career specific job search engines here where, when it comes time for you to look for different professional opportunities, we've given you some of the most popular job search sites for folks who are looking for job opportunities in the field. So definitely bookmark this website because there's a lot of really great information here, especially when it comes to exploration and figuring out what's next. This is a great place to go to learn more about the ways that you can utilize your degree and also learn more about the different resources that you have access to at the university. So I'm going to stop there. Do y'all have any specific questions regarding what can I do with a major in? Cool. Does that feel like a pretty helpful resource for y'all? Okay. Anybody on Zoom have any questions or anything? Perfect. And again, I will send this presentation out once we're done. So you will have information on how you can access that resource again after we're done. But I do also want to kind of just gauge where y'all are at in terms of what you envision yourself doing after graduation. So I know only like one or two people said that they were still kind of at the exploration phase. So I am curious for those of y'all who are, kind of already thinking about what's next after UGA and you feel like you know what you're interested in doing, if y'all will just kind of by a show of hands, and those of y'all on Zoom, if you'll participate as well, how many of y'all are interested in like medical school or PA school? Okay, so I see one person, two people. Okay. What about folks who are interested in physical therapy or occupational therapy school? Okay. Like 5 or 6 people. What about folks who are maybe interested in nursing school, anesthesiologist school, anything else like healthcare wise? Okay. And then how many of y'all are interested in something totally different, like athletic training, personal training, strength and conditioning? Okay, cool. So we do have some variety here, which is cool. I will say we're going to kind of hop into some different career options. The first thing that we are going to focus on is pre-health professional information. So things that y'all should be keeping in mind if you're interested in attending professional school, such as like med school, PA school, PT school, and OT school, and all of that good stuff. But there are going to be a lot of things that we're not able to cover just for the sake of time. So definitely know that this is a general overview, and we can get more specific if you want to chat. But there are additional resources that I'm going to be sharing with you where you can learn more about some of the things that we touch on during our time together. So to kick things off, if you are interested in med school, PA school, PT school, OT school, nursing school, any health profession school, then I just really want to emphasize that you are considered a pre-professional student at the University of Georgia. So you are specifically pre-health, but you're under the pre-professional umbrella. And as your career consultant, I can provide you with, all of the support that you need regarding your professional journey, but you also have access to another resource on campus called the Pre-Professional Advising Office. By a show of hands, how many of y'all are familiar with the Pre-Professional Advising Office on campus? Okay, I see a few hands. I would highly encourage you, if you do not know what the Pre-Professional Advising Office is, check out their website. I have the link here. It is ppao.uga.edu. As a pre-professional student, you have access to a pre-professional advisor through the University of Georgia. And they are someone who's like, they are sole responsibility is to help you feel prepared for the professional school programs that you're interested in attending. So they can help ensure that you have taken all of the prerequisites that you need to be admitted into the program you're interested in going to. They can help you make sure that you're taking part in experiences that you need to be taking part in to be a competitive candidate. And they can even help you identify what professional school programs might be a good fit for you. So know that you have access to them as well, because when it comes to navigating professional school, it can just be a little bit nuanced. And I think it's good to take advantage of all of the resources that you have access to. So ask me any questions, but also make sure that you connect with your pre-professional advisor and that you utilize a lot of the resources that you have access to through PPAO, because they're just a plethora of information, or they're a wealth of knowledge. And I think, knowing that you have the support from PPAO can be really helpful as you're navigating that process. When it comes to being a pre-health student, so again, you're under the pre-professional umbrella. If you're interested in physical therapy, occupational therapy, med school, nursing, those healthcare fields, you are considered pre-health. And there are a lot of things that you need to be thinking about to ensure that you're ready for the professional school programs that you'll have to attend after you're done with your undergraduate experience at UGA. Because a lot of the programs are highly competitive, and they want to make sure that if you're applying for the program, that you've taken part in experiences and have really pushed yourself to develop the skills, knowledge, and qualities necessary to be able to be successful in those programs. So I just shared a general pre-health timeline with you all. Really, this is just outlining for you the things that you should be doing starting in your first year in school, all the way up until you're done with your time at UGA, to make sure that you're on track and competitive for the programs that you're interested in applying to. So if you have not met with your pre-health advisor or your career consultant and you are a pre-health student, I would highly encourage you to go ahead and do that. The courses that you're taking during your time at UGA, it's going to be really important because a lot of professional school programs have some pretty strict prerequisite requirements, and you just want to make sure that you're taking the courses that you need to be able to be admitted into the programs that you're interested in. It's also going to be important, as we talked about, that you take part in different experiences throughout your time at UGA to give you some good insight into the field and to prepare you for that program that you're interested in attending. And we can really help you determine what experiences will be good for you to take part in and how you can go about taking part in those experiences. There are also some additional things that you'll need to keep in mind depending on the professional school program that you're interested in going into, which we can talk about more in depth later on or individually when the time comes. But definitely make sure that you utilize this timeline and are doing the things that you need to be doing to ensure that when it comes time for you to apply to professional school, that you are confident in your ability to be admitted into the programs that you're really interested in. So I have some information here about some different common pre-health pathways for students who are interested in exercise science. I'm not going to read all of these in depth just for the sake of time, but especially for students who are exercise and sports science majors at the University of Georgia, we see a lot of students going into occupational therapy and physical therapy. But with that being said, there are also a lot of students who end up going into medicine or PA school, and nursing is also a pretty common professional school program for students to attend as well. So this is just some general information about those different pre-health pathways. But again, you're not limited to these professional schools or these pre-health pathways. There are a lot of different ways that you can work in the healthcare field with the degree that you're pursuing. So just know you have a lot of options, but this is information that you can reference if maybe you're not sure exactly what some of the differences are between the different professional school programs or like healthcare jobs. When it comes to professional school, regardless of the school that you're interested in attending, there are going to be some things that you're going to need to be mindful of as you're thinking about applying to programs. So when we are talking about gaining experience, sorry, y'all, my slideshow is having a hard time. When we were talking about, the things that you need to keep in mind, as you're getting ready for applying to professional school, something that's going to be really important to think about is gaining pre-professional experience. And this is going to be helpful even if you're someone who, like, you want to go into a particular field within healthcare, but maybe you're not exactly sure what it is that you want to be doing. We always recommend that folks take part in different experiences to get some insight into that field. So if you're unsure of what you want to be doing, I would highly recommend that you start considering shadowing. So when it comes to shadowing, shadowing is going to be really important because it gives you the opportunity to watch what these folks who are working in different roles within healthcare do every day, which I think is one of the best ways to get an understanding of what you might be doing long-term professionally if you were to pursue that path. Shadowing is something that's great for getting insight, but it is also something that's required for a lot of professional school programs. The amount of shadowing that you have to do to be competitive for a professional school program is going to vary based on the program that you're interested in. That's why it's going to be really important to talk with me as your career consultant and also talk with folks over at the pre-professional advising office, because they can give you some more insight into specific hour requirements. So just keep in mind that shadowing is really great if you're not sure exactly what you want to do. And it's also something that's essential if you are confident that you're going to go to professional school, because it's going to be a way for admissions committees to see that you've gotten some good exposure into the field. So shadowing is something that people should be doing and need to be doing for professional school programs. And there are also clinical hours and clinical experience that some folks will be required to do based on the specific professional schools that they're interested in going to. So for like physician assistant school, clinical hours are something that's required, but is not something that's required for every professional school program. So it's going to be important, again, that you look into PPAO, you talk with your career consultant, so we can help you to get an understanding of what is required for you based on the professional school that you're interested in going to. But shadowing is going to be hands-off observation, where clinical hours are going to be hands-on. And clinical hours often require a certification because these are things that you're going to have specific technical knowledge to be able to do, as you would be performing kind of day-to-day responsibilities and tasks and really being more involved in kind of what's going on within different roles in the healthcare setting. So shadowing, definitely an important thing to be doing. Clinical hours will be important to get depending on what it is that you want to do professionally. So just know that these are things you should start thinking about and things you should start preparing yourself to look into. That way you know what's required of you based on what it is that you're wanting to do. I know that was like a pretty general overview about pre-professional experience. I will share with y'all some more detailed information in the follow-up email that PPAO has put together about different shadowing hour requirements and clinical hour requirements. For the sake of time, I'm not going to go into all of the nuanced details since a lot of y'all are interested in different things. But does anybody have any general questions about like shadowing versus clinical hours or pre-professional experience in general? Okay. Okay, so the next thing that we'll talk about are kind of shadowing requirements. And I'm sorry all about the screen. My Canva, when I pull up the presentation, is a little wonky, so y'all will just have to bear with me for this next slide. But I do have information about shadowing requirements on the next slide that y'all will see when you access the presentation. So again, for professional schools, the requirements are going to be different based on the programs that you're interested in attending and what professional pathway you're interested in pursuing within the field. But these are just some like general kind of guidelines for shadowing requirements, since shadowing is required for pretty much every professional school within the health professions realm. So for PT school applicants, typically you should aim for at least 100 hours in 3 to 4 different environments. But that at least, there's a lot of emphasis on that. Like it's always good to be obtaining more shadowing or more shadowing experiences than you're seeing recommended, because it's going to be really beneficial for you in getting some insight into, what the field will really consist of if that's what you want to do. But also it can help you to be seen as a more competitive candidate since you have more exposure. For OT school programs, typically you're encouraged to have at least 80 hours in different environments. For med school applicants, when it comes to shadowing, you should aim for at least 100 hours. For PA school applicants, you should aim for over 100 hours. And for anesthesiologist assistant school applicants, you should have a minimum of 8 to 10 hours of documented anesthesia exposure. So this is just kind of, general information about shadowing, since that's something that's required of all professional school applicants. But again, know that it's going to vary based on the program that you're interested in and what it is that you're looking to do. When it comes to shadowing, though, like as y'all can see, you are expected to have a lot of hours logged. So we actually have a resource that I'll share with y'all in the follow-up email that is a shadowing experience spreadsheet template that you can use to stay organized if professional school is something that you're interested in doing. Since, if you're getting 100 hours in 3 to 4 different environments, it can be hard to keep track of all of that. So using a spreadsheet can be a really great way to stay organized and something that you can reference later on when you're applying for programs. Any questions about shadowing? Okay, so moving on, I'm going to pull back up my presentation and see if we can. Perfect. Okay, can y'all see that okay? Okay. So something else that's going to be really important for y'all, if you are interested in professional school, is thinking about research opportunities. Research is something that can be especially helpful if you're interested in medical school. So if that is the professional pathway that you're pursuing, make sure that you're considering taking advantage of research opportunities. At the University of Georgia, there is the Center for Undergraduate Research Opportunities, where you can actually learn about different faculty members all across the institution who are looking for folks to help out with the research that they're doing. And if you're interested in med school, this is a really great way to get some good experience because that is something that a lot of admissions committees will want to see, that not only do you have shadowing experience and clinical hours, but also that you've taken part in some research experiences. So I would encourage you, look at the Center for Undergraduate Research Opportunities, see what opportunities there are to get involved, and develop some of your research skills, because those will be really important in the field. Even if you're not interested in medical school, if you want to do physical therapy, occupational therapy, nursing, whatever it may be, all of these different pathways are leading you into a field where research is really important and guides a lot of the work that you'll be doing. So I would encourage you to look at the different research opportunities that you have access to through the university and consider taking part in some if you have the availability to, because developing your research skills can be really impressive for admissions committees to see and can really help you as a future professional in the field to develop some of the skills that you need to be really impactful within it. When it comes to kind of, ensuring that you're doing what you need to be doing to prepare yourself for professional school, it is going to be really important that you just are involved, which I think for a lot of students at the university, that is just something that's pretty natural and just happens, that a lot of you all are highly involved students. But with professional school programs, they really like to see students who are taking part in different extracurricular experiences, whether they're in the community or on campus. And so I would encourage you all to, in addition to shadowing and taking part in clinical experiences, to also take part in different clubs and organizations on campus, ones that are relevant to the field that you're looking to go into, but also ones that are just in line with your own personal interests, because it can really help admissions committees to see what it is that you're really interested in doing and how intense of a commitment you have to the field. And at UGA, I think we have almost 900 different clubs and organizations. So if you're interested in something, there's probably an organization full of people at UGA who are interested in that same thing. So consider getting involved, not only within the field that you're looking to go into, but also in other places in the community and on campus. Okay, so that kind of concludes my very big overview of professional school. Again, I know that with all of y'all being different and interested in different things, it is a very broad overview, and it will be easier for us to really talk about some of the more specific aspects of the programs that maybe you're interested in going to and like what you need to be doing to prepare yourself to get there. But do y'all have any questions about any of the information that I shared with you at the moment? Cool. Does anyone need clarification on anything? Okay. So I know a lot of y'all said that you were interested in professional school. Can people, like, with a show of hands, let me know who's interested in like athletic training, personal training, strength and conditioning coaching? Okay, cool. So we have a person, which is very exciting. We have some information that I will share with you all that you'll have access to in the presentation regarding those other common pathways for folks in the field. So with athletic training, personal training, strength and conditioning coaching, like wellness coordinator type roles, those are also really popular pathways. And I have some information in this presentation about ways that you can pursue those different pathways and kind of what's going to be required for you in order to get there. So with athletic training, you are still considered a healthcare professional. You just won't be attending professional school in the way that other healthcare professionals might be required to. So there's like PT school, OT school, med school. For athletic training, you're typically required to go to graduate school and obtain a certification through the program that you're attending. So there is still school after you're done at the undergraduate level, but it's just going to be a little bit different. For athletic training, there are a lot of different spaces that you can work in. You know, with athletic training, there are trainers who work with collegiate teams. There are people who work at rehabilitation centers, who work with physical therapists and occupational therapists. There are athletic trainers who will work at a physician's practice, and emergency rooms and urgent care centers. So there is a lot of overlap in terms of environments that you may be working in with other healthcare professionals, but the work that you're doing may be a little bit different, and that a lot of what you're doing is working with folks who maybe have been recently diagnosed with some type of injury or illness that they might need some support overcoming and kind of working through. So there is some overlap in what you would be doing as an athletic trainer with maybe what you would be doing as a physical therapist, but there are some differences there to keep in mind. When it comes to athletic training, I do have some information here about what you need to do to become an athletic trainer. So y'all saw some information about what you need to do to go into professional school, like the different programs that are required if you're interested in working in some of those different roles that we had talked about. With athletic training, there are also some different things that you need to keep in mind about what you'll need to do after you're done with your undergraduate degree at UGA to ensure that you can pursue that professional path. So you will need to obtain a degree through a program that's accredited by, it's called the Commission on Accreditation of Athletic Training Education. And they're linked, will actually take you to a database where you can see all of the programs that are accredited. And typically those programs are going to be graduate level programs. Just like with professional school, you do need to have hands-on clinic experience, and shadowing experience can be really helpful as well, because it's going to help you develop the skills that you need to be successful in that field. With, different professional schools, there are exams that you have to take, and it's very similar with athletic training. There is an exam that you have to take in order to get your certification to be able to actually practice. And oftentimes there is a state license that comes with that as well. So just know that the undergraduate degree that you're obtaining, that's probably not going to be enough to get into the field. So start thinking about some of these things that you'll also be required to do, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help you get there. With athletic training, and same goes for like any of the professional pathways that y'all are interested in pursuing. I've actually linked, there's this website, it's called My Next Move, which I'll show y'all. This is a really great resource that I think can just be really helpful at giving you some insight into what it is that you may want to do professionally and how you can get there. So it's called My Next Move. And this is a website that will allow for you to dig into all of the different occupations that kind of exist based on information that's collected within it's called the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which is essentially a database for different occupations all across the country. And you can actually find different job titles based on what you're interested in doing. And you can go to a page where you can learn more about what that specific job entails. So this is the page for athletic trainers. There's also a page for physical therapists, occupational therapists, nurses, really any profession that you can think of. There is a page for it where you can see a little bit more about responsibilities that you would have in that role, skills that you would need to be able to move into that position, and skills that you would be utilizing day to day within that role. There's also information about some common like personality traits and values that folks within these roles typically have. You can learn more too about education that's required, certifications that are required. There's information about salary outlook for people in that specific position. So this can be a really great way if you're exploring to learn a little bit more about what that particular profession entails, what you would be doing day to day and what you need to be doing to ensure that you can get into that position if it's what you're interested in doing. So I would highly recommend checking that out. And again, there is a page too for like PT, OT, doctors, nurses, and all of that good stuff that I'll share with y'all in the follow-up email. When it comes to personal training, it is different than athletic training. So typically athletic trainers are working with like teams or in healthcare settings, whereas personal trainers are often working with individual clients, either in a gym or in a client's home. And they really help folks to meet their fitness goals by creating and helping them see through a personalized plan that can really help them to develop healthy lifestyle habits. So personal training is a little bit different. But when it comes to personal training, there are some similar things that you need to do to ensure that you can move into that professional space if you are interested in doing it. So personal training does not require a graduate degree, whereas athletic training that is becoming the standard, but you do typically need to have a degree in a field such as exercise and sports science, kinesiology, nutrition, biomedical physiology. A related field can definitely be helpful in getting you into that professional space. And you will also need to have a certification to show that you are a certified personal trainer. In addition to getting that certification for personal training, and really this is for all of the professional avenues that y'all would be interested in going into, it is going to be really helpful to also have your AED and CPR certification. So start taking into consideration that these are some things you'll need to do to prepare yourself. I've linked, all of these different resources where you can learn more about the different certification requirements and how you can obtain those. When it comes to personal training, there is also some information through Rec Sports at UGA. I found this, I did not know how up to date this is, but it does seem like at some point they were offering different opportunities for students to become certified trainers. The last dates that I saw were for April, but I included the link here that y'all can check out if you are interested in getting that certification, because you can do it through UGA. There is a fee associated with it, but if it's something you're interested in doing, that certification so that you can set yourself up for success when you're job searching. I also linked the My Next Move page here so that you can learn more about the particular field and this particular role, just like you saw for athletic training. And then another really common pathway for folks who aren't interested in professional school, but are interested in exercise science as a field is strength and conditioning. So for strength and conditioning, I think that there can be a decent amount of overlap with some of what you would be doing here in personal training, but really a strength and conditioning coach is someone who works with athletes and people to help them improve their physical performance. So just like a personal trainer will create a plan that's individualized and customized to help them develop, strength and agility, that is what a strength and conditioning coach would be doing as well. But it is focused more on reducing the risk of injury and really improving like agility and endurance, while also helping to teach lifelong fitness skills. With strength and conditioning, there are a lot of different fields or areas that you can work in. So there are coaches who will work with collegiate athletes, professional athletes. There are folks who will just work in gyms or fitness centers. So lots of different places that you can work in, and some overlap with personal training, but also some different aspects as well. With strength and conditioning, it's going to be a little bit more similar to getting into one of these positions as it would with personal training. So again, you don't have to go to grad school, though there are some really great strength and conditioning master's programs that you might want to take part in. Typically, strength and conditioning coaches have a bachelor's degree in like exercise science, kinesiology, or a related field. In addition to having that bachelor's degree, they will typically obtain certification from a recognized organization, which I've listed a couple here that you can go to learn more about the certification process and some specific credentials that can really help you stick out as an applicant. But just like with personal training, having your AED and CPR certification is going to be really important, since that's something that you'll need to have to be a professional in the field. As I mentioned with all of the professional pathways that y'all have mentioned that you're interested in, as well as athletic training and personal training, it can be really helpful to get some experience in the field so that you get insight into what you would be doing if you were to move into one of these roles, and also just get some experience that's going to help you develop the skills that you need to be a full-time professional in those roles. So with strength and conditioning, athletic training, and personal training, it can be good to consider part-time work that's related or an internship that's related. That way you can get some experience in the field and start to develop the skills that you need to be a competitive candidate for full-time positions, working in some of the places that you might be interested in working in. I do have some specific job search sites here. So for those of y'all who are not interested in professional school, but are interested in athletic training, strength and conditioning coaching jobs, or personal training, I have some of the most common and popular job search engines here that you can look at to learn about different opportunities that maybe you can pursue after graduating, or internships that might be good to consider. But for those of y'all who are interested in professional school, remember, you'll be doing a lot of shadowing and clinical hours, which I'll share with you some resources on later as to how you can start taking part in those experiences. With getting experience in the field and just getting insight into the field, something that's really important, regardless of what you want to do, is building relationships with folks who are already working in the spaces that you're interested in working in. So through the Career Center, you do have access to me as a career consultant, but our Career Center also houses the UGA Mentor Program. Have any of y'all heard of the Mentor Program before? Cool. So the mentor program is something that I would highly encourage all of y'all to consider taking part in. It gives you as a UGA student the opportunity to connect with a UGA faculty or staff member or alumni who's in the field that you're interested in going into. So the mentor program website, it's mentor.uga.edu, which you'll have access to that link. If you go there, you'll be able to create a UGA mentee profile where you can fill out a bunch of information about who you are and what you're interested in doing professionally. Once you fill out that information, you'll attend a short orientation. It's like a 10-minute virtual orientation just to familiarize you with the mentor program itself. After you attend that orientation, folks who work at the mentor program at UGA will take the information that you put in your profile about what it is that you're interested in doing professionally and like experiences that you're interested in taking part in. And they will hand select UGA alumni, faculty, or staff members who are in the program that they feel like might be a good person for you to chat with, to learn some stuff from, about what it is that they're doing and kind of how you can get to where you want to go based on what it is that they've done to get where they are. With the mentor program, once you get that hand-selected list of mentors, you can either engage in quick chats, or we call them informational interviews, where you can just talk to some of the alumni, faculty, or staff members that the mentor program has picked for you. You can talk with them for 15 to 20 minutes to learn a little bit more about what it is that they do professionally and how they got to where they are. And if you are enjoying conversations with anyone in particular, you can request a formal mentor. So out of those hand-selected mentors that the mentor program picks for you, you can actually select whoever it is that you feel like might be able to best provide you with support and insight into what it is that they're doing and kind of how you can learn from them and their experiences. And if you find someone that you're really interested in being paired with, you can undergo a 16-week long mentorship where you, as the mentee, you get to completely determine how that relationship unfolds. So if you're interested in going to PT school and you get paired with a physical therapist, for 16 weeks, that's someone that you get to have conversations with about what it is that they do day to day, what their experience was like applying to PT school, what their experience was like in PT school. And you really get to guide that conversation and determine what it is that you're interested in learning more about from them. So I would highly encourage you to take part in the mentor program. It's one of the best ways to get insight from folks who have been through what you're going through and have been able to navigate some of the things that you may soon be navigating. So I will send you all the link for that. If you have any questions about the mentor program, definitely let me know. Outside of that, the mentor program is a great resource, but I also would encourage y'all to just take advantage of some additional Career Center resources. So if you ever have a question about like your career, professional school, like anything related to what it is that you want to do professionally, make an appointment with me on Handshake or come visit us during drop-in hours, because that can be a really great way to get some quick career-related support. In addition to meeting with a consultant, either if it's me or if you come to drop-in hours, we also have rolled out some ELC modules to help you get some support, like professional related support that you can access asynchronously. So for our ELC modules, we have some general career development modules. So these are things that students, regardless of what they want to do, can access, resources that will give you some information into like resumes, cover letters, searching for jobs, interviewing, all of that good stuff. And we also have pre-health specific ELC modules for students who are interested in working in healthcare. And everything that I shared with you all and more, you can access in those ELC modules. So we do have specific information about different healthcare profession pathways, and lots of great resources that you can access on your own time, from wherever that you can have on ELC. You do have to self-enroll in those. So you'll see the link here that will allow for you to enroll in those courses. And there's also a QR code that you can use to enroll in them as well. But that's all that I have for y'all. I know that was like a pretty general overview, but do y'all have any questions or need clarity on anything in particular? Cool. And for those of y'all who are on Zoom, if you have
I
any
actually had a
questions,
question. Hello, sorry.
yeah,
I don't know. I think I didn't mute myself at first. As I'm someone who was looking at strength and conditioning, and I know that a lot, it's not too common to go for like a grad degree, but the second, like the other certifications are popular or honestly necessary. So I was wondering if you knew about like maybe studying for or attacking a certification while balancing grad school, and if you knew anything about like a path like that.
yeah, absolutely. So strength and conditioning is definitely something that you can go to grad school for. Like UGA has a master's program that's focused on strength and conditioning. I think that when it comes to balancing time for grad school and a certification, it is definitely feasible. I mean, I think you'll have to really lean into your ability to manage your time effectively. But it is something that I would imagine people are doing frequently, since that certification is really important for you to have to go into the field. If that is something that you're interested in doing and you like decide to attend grad school, definitely let me know and we can talk about some best practices for managing those two things at the same time.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, good question. Anything else that y'all can think of? Cool. Was this helpful information? Okay. At least hopefully y'all feel like you know a little bit more about some of the resources that you have access to. I know it was very general, but if you do want to talk about your specific professional pathway and like the things that you need to be doing based on what you're interested in doing, definitely reach out to me with any questions that you have. You will get this presentation, but I know that it doesn't cover all of the ins and outs of professional school or some other pathways in the exercise science field. So don't hesitate to reach out if you need clarification on anything or want to talk further, okay? All right. Thanks, y'all. And to before y'all leave, if there was anyone who didn't have the chance to check in, let me know and I can send you the link. That way you can put your email address in and I can send this to you, okay? Cool. Well, thanks everyone. It was nice to see y'all.